Hi, readers. Welcome to Reading Tier 2 style, right? Um, I wanted to just kind of walk you through since our schedule is shifting and you all are going to be doing reading at school with your teachers, but also at home. I wanted to just kind of talk about what that's going to look like, but also review. We spent a lot of time in the beginning of the school year and even the past couple of months really learning some great strategies. And we just want to make sure, as your reading teachers, that you remember those strategies and you remember to use them. And I want to tell you what as your reading teachers, what we're going to be looking for and what we're going to be listening for. So you're going to be doing reading, like I said, when you're on campus, which would be at school, but then also when you're off campus, which is when you'll be at home. So what are you going to be doing at school? Well, that's where we're going to be meeting with our book clubs and our reading groups. Your teachers are going to be spending some conferring time with you, which is where we sit and talk exactly about what's going on with your reading in your book. Those are one-on-one, so quality time with your reading teacher there. And then you're going to be doing some independent reading during that time too. And then when you go home, unless your teacher tells you, you are always going to have something in your Comm Arts tile. You're going to be checking that every single day. If you're coming to school in the morning, you're going to be checking that in the afternoon. And if you're coming to school in the afternoon, you're going to be checking that in the morning. Your Comm Arts tile is going to be, and it's going to look and feel very similar to what you've seen already in Comm Arts, which is a video and usually some kind of assignment that shows us you're practicing what you learned in the video. And then you'll have a little bit of independent reading time to do at home as well. So, notice anything that's the same in both of these? Yes, independent reading. So, let's review how to make the most out of our independent reading time. The only way we're going to become better readers is if obviously we're using these strategies and practicing reading in a real and natural way versus our fake reading. So whenever you're real reading, that means you're keeping your eyes on the text. You're not turning your pages too quickly. That shows us your speed reading, but you're also not turning them too slowly, which might mean that either you're not focused on what you're reading or your book is not a just right book. You want to actually finish a book, you want to stay in one spot while you're reading, and you want to be able to talk about your book. Your teachers are going to be, like I said, conferring with you about what you're reading, and will know that you're not doing real reading if you can't tell us what your book is about. Of course, fake reading is going to be the opposite of those things, right? You're getting up and walking around, which means you're getting distracted. You're losing track of what's going on with your book. You won't be able to talk about it. You're turning the pages so quickly, which shows us that it might be too easy or you're not actually reading the words. So once you understand what real reading looks like, sounds like, and feels like, let's talk about building your reading stamina. Hopefully that language sounds really familiar to you. I know my class, we started out with just 20 minutes of independent reading time, but I've got friends who are up to 35 and 40 minutes of reading. They have built their stamina up. And how did they do that? Well, they stay in one spot. They can read silently in their head. They're not getting up in the middle of their independent reading time to go and do other things. They're sticking with the book until it's finished. They're reading it slowly and carefully, making sure they understand what's happening, and they're using reading strategies that they've learned. Now, I saved that reading strategies check last because you might be wondering, what reading strategies? It's been a while since we talked about figuring out unknown words. So I wanted to talk about how we solve those. I also have included a video in case you want to rewatch it just to refresh your memory about what some of these reading strategies actually look like when we come to unknown words. You can replace it with a new word. See if it makes sense. You can obviously use resources like dictionary.com. I know my class loves to use that. We even learn how to pronounce the word on dictionary.com. You can look at the whole word and say, is there part of this that I already know? You can make sure that you're pronouncing it. You could practice a couple different sounds and say, does that sound familiar? Does it sound like a word that I've heard before? You can read on. I usually say read on until you get to the end of the sentence and see if that gave you any more clues about what the unknown word could be. Maybe find clues that the author's given you in the sentence, like a synonym for the word or an antonym. Do you remember when we watched that Khan video and the narrator was telling us how, especially when an author anticipates we're not going to know a word, they can give us a synonym or an antonym right there in the sentence that helps us figure it out. Sometimes just rereading the sentence over again helps. You can break it into syllables. We can use prefixes and suffixes and root words to figure out what a word might mean. I'm thinking about some prefixes like dis, which means the opposite of, or maybe if a suffix on the end of the word like ful, meaning full of, like if something is beautiful, then that means it's full of beauty, right? You can also use context clues. Think about what's happening in this story. Find other words that might help explain it. Try different words. So these are all of the reading strategies that we've been working on. So, and you learned these a while ago. So I'm going to go ahead and link the video that I showed you months ago about what these actually, instead of just looking at them at chart paper, what these actually look and sound and feel like when we're doing reading with unknown words. So watch that if you need a refresher. And then we're going to ask you to do a follow-up activity, just making sure that you are ready for reading in and out of the classroom, on and off campus. See you soon, third grade.